Hey everyone, welcome to the Tuesday night Principal Chiropractic broadcast, sponsored by DE and sponsored by Band of Brothers around the world. So tonight we got a special guest. A lot of people may not know him. He's spoken at DE several times in the past. He's kind of one of those quiet, gentle guys from the bottom, that doesn't like attention drawn to him. He's actually one of Steve Judson's partners. They have 7 practices throughout Connecticut, and I think maybe he's now in Florida. He's from Avon, Connecticut. Been practicing for 20 years. He's, like I say, he's just one of those quiet, gentle dudes that just keeps serving and serving and serving. Doesn't bring attention to himself, but he's a master, and he's just one of the greatest guys, and I love and appreciate him. He's done a lot of things that helped me throughout my years, and I just before I introduce Mike Koster, I want to make sure that everybody knows that if you didn't go to DE this last time, you missed a big one, and you missed one of the deepest DEs of all time. So you need to make sure you get registered for the April DE in Sarasota, Florida. Get registered and get the hotels, because that hotel will book up fast, and hopefully the elevators work the whole time we're there. But again, it's coming up in April 13th to the 16th. I know that the crew is already getting everything scheduled up, and so make sure you are sign up early. And last D we had literally over a dozen new people come in. So if you know people who need chiropractic or need DE, bring a friend, call them up, drag them down there, because we change lives here. So again, with no further ado, Mike Koster from Avon, Connecticut, take it over, brother. God bless you.
All right, cool. Looks like I'm on. So this is the first time I've done one of these. I've done the calls before, and I've spoken before. I love, the crazy thing is I love to talk, love to talk. I probably talk too much, but I don't love to speak. I never really, people say this all the time. I know Brian says it all the time, because I could picture myself up on stage occasionally talking, but every time I get asked to, my heart starts to jump a little bit. I start to get nervous. And the last couple times I've sat down next to either of the Bryans at DE, the first question they ask me is, hey, you want to do a Tuesday call? And, the answer is always got to be yes, because what are we here for, right? We're here to learn, to love, and to give, and to serve chiropractic, and to serve God. So if it means sitting in front of my computer and talking about myself, or talking about the stuff that I've been going through, then that's what I'm here for. I'm kind of flying high right now. Just out of nowhere, I had an amazing day. I honestly, I forgot that I was scheduled to do this, because when Brian asked me, I forgot to write it down. If I don't write it down, it's in one ear and out the other. It's gone. I have a million other things going on. So when Kat, thank God, called my office and let my office manager know to remind me that I was on tonight, again, my heart started palpitating a little bit, started jumping, and it was about 30 seconds before I saw my first patient this afternoon. I don't know about your practices, but I try and see everybody on Monday. I want to see every single person who comes in to get adjusted on Monday. So Mondays are always busting at the seams, and they're the best day. I take Tuesday morning off, and then I see people Tuesday afternoon, and usually Tuesday's kind of like an overflow day. It's not the busiest of days. It's always a good day. Every day in the office is a great day. But today was just, and I'm not making this stuff up. Today was the best Tuesday I've ever had on record in my entire career. And I've been practicing close to 20 years. I had just this amazing Tuesday. It was full of babies and kids and families, and everybody just wanted to come in and get checked today. It was just an amazing day. We started on time. We finished on time. We saw new patients. We saw re-exams. It was just this amazing day. And I have this little office. Like every office that we've built bigger and better. Like every time we build an office, we build it with one more exam room, with a better x-ray room, with a classroom so we can teach chiropractic to our patients and to their families. And just every time we build one, it's bigger and better. More isn't always better, but each time we've built, it has actually been better. And I'm a little jealous. I sometimes get jealous of these practices that we've built, and that my colleagues and my docs that I'm partners with, docs that that work for me, that they get these amazing practices, and I'm still in my original 960 square foot practice, with my 4 adjusting tables and my 2 exam rooms. And you know what? Every now and then I get the itch to grow out of it and to go and build a bigger practice, but I absolutely love packing that little office full of people so that there's a line out the door and people are sitting on my front porch, waiting to come in. Like, it feels good to be busting at the seams and just to be able to serve people in your space that you've had forever and ever. So like I said, I'm kind of flying high. I had a great Tuesday. I also just got off another conference call, and I just completed my last and final duty as outgoing president of the Connecticut Chiropractic Council. Nobody on here probably even knew that I was the president of the Connecticut Chiropractic Council. I didn't really look to advertise it. We accomplished an enormous amount. Connecticut has always been under attack, and we're always on the defense. This year, for the first time, we've finally got on the offense. We hired a lobbyist, and we're actually going to work on taking back this state. I'd personally like to take over the school in this state and just train chiropractors to be chiropractors so that I could actually hire somebody to come in and help me in my office. How about that? But like I said, having a great Tuesday. And honestly, I talked to a couple of people at DE, and this is not a brag session. Like, I'm not going to talk myself up, because honestly, I don't feel like I had a whole lot to do with it. But we finished our year and we had the best year on record. We had the best year. We collected the most money, saw the most people. We had the highest volume consistently throughout the entire year. And I had no clue when I got to the end of the year how or why that happened. I actually had to sit there at DE and try and figure it out. Every Friday I sit down, and in the morning I run my businesses. So Friday morning is my CEO time, my CFO time, my COO time. I sit down, and you guys should all do this, guys and girls, should all sit down and actually run your business. Because when you're in your practice and you're talking to your patients, you're loving on your patients, you're not in business. You're not in the business of chiropractic. You're giving, loving, and serving. You're their chiropractor. You're giving life-changing and life-restoring adjustments. You're not thinking about the business. But, if any of you on this call actually own your practice, then you have to actually look at the business and be your business manager. So I choose to do that in a day that I'm not in my office, that I'm not seeing patients. I try not to mix my business hand with my service hand. So I sat down and did my year-end reporting, and we had our best year, not by a little, by a lot. And I focused zero attention on my own practice all year. So I really didn't understand how I could, for years that I was coming to DE and trying to figure out how to be a better chiropractor and how to see more people and how to help more people. I beat myself up. Parade of Stars would come around, and people at Parade of Stars would be seeing more people than me, and I get pissed off, and I'd kill myself trying to just figure out how to see more people. And the harder I worked and the more I focused on just trying to attract in new patients and ask for referrals, it never really seemed to work. And people say how easy it is, but when you're in the trenches and you're working your ass off trying to build your practice, it's not always easy when you don't see it coming to fruition and when you have these peaks and valleys and your practice is going up and down. So that being said, my practice has grown through COVID. My practice grew through COVID. We opened practices during COVID. My practice has grown not just since COVID, but to the busiest it's ever been pre-COVID. And I couldn't figure out how or why, and then it hit me. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I think I shared it with some of you at DE. It's because my mindset for the last couple of years has not been on growing my practice. My mindset for the last couple of years hasn't even been on running my practice. My mindset for the last couple of years has been on serving thousands more people with chiropractic. It's been on growing and fixing systems and growing other people's practices. I've been, coaching and helping all of our docs, fix their practices and grow their practices. We've been opening practices. I've been more distracted in the last couple of years than I've ever been in my entire career. But in the past, I was always distracted with hobbies, skiing, running, doing all the different things that are actual distractions. For the last couple of years, I've been distracted with chiropractic. I've been all in on just building chiropractic offices and helping more people and serving God through serving more of his people. And that's the only explanation I can figure out, is that I have got more of my staff to more DEs. We have all of our staff on the same page. They're all chiropractic warriors. They're doing the work when I'm not there. You know, I'm in my practice 3.5 days a week, and that's it, 3.5 days a week. When I'm in my practice, I am 100% present with my patients and with my staff. I'm not thinking about anything else. But in every other minute of every day, I am not thinking about my own practice, but I am thinking constantly about chiropractic and about how to do it better and about how to grow these other practices so we can serve, like Steve said years ago, he planted the seeds, serve tens of thousands of people a week versus trying to see 500 a week in my own practice with my own two hands. So that's really been the underlying issue. And or just the focus, the mission at hand has been to just serve more people with chiropractic. And in doing so, my practice is busting at the seams. You know, I've never had a waiting list, but we're getting there. We're getting close. We're gonna have to open more hours. I'm gonna have to hire people for my own practice. DE was, like Andy said, just an amazing DE. You know, I've been to a lot of DEs. I've been going to DE since 2008. I can't say I've made it to every DE, not even close. I went through a lot of shedding. I got rid of a lot of husks. I'm not going to go through my story. I had to figure out a better relationship. I had to find God, honestly. I had to figure out my relationship with God. I had to figure out who I was. I had to figure out all these things I needed to get rid of. And it was a painful experience. For many years, it was a painful experience. And I got to be honest, I haven't had a painful DE in many years. And you kind of know, it's usually the DE where you get there and maybe you didn't even feel like going that time, or maybe you felt like you had all these other things that you had to do, but something, right, your God within, your innate told you gotta go. So you go and you have one of those amazing but sometimes painful DE experiences where one or two or five of the docs that got up on stage were speaking directly to me, and that's the only reason they came and gave their talk, was because I was sitting in the audience and I needed to hear it. And a couple of talks really got me. And the overwhelming, not sign, but message that I heard at this DE was just let go. I'm a chronic kind of like micromanager, a control freak. I like to be in control of everything. I never think anybody can do anything as good as I could, so I try and do everything myself. And the overwhelming message for me was let go. And not just let go of things that I can't control, because I think I've done a pretty good job and I have a really good relationship with God at this point in my life. And I do have deep, deep faith. And you know, the things that I know I can't control, I almost have zero fear left in my life, right? I mean, how could you honestly have fear in your life when you also have faith? So the fear is pretty much gone, but I was still trying to control the things that I thought I needed to control. And I'm sure there's a lot of you people on here that are still trying to control a bunch of the little stuff that you don't need to hold on to anymore. The thing that I really, really wanted to and needed to focus on was not how everybody else was doing, or whether they were doing a good enough job, or whether they were doing it exactly how I wanted them to do it, and more like, am I clear? And I mean, I think a lot of you can ask yourself right now, I don't even know how many people are on here, but ask yourself, are you clear? Like, are you walking the walk and talking the talk, or have you slipped a little bit, right? It was years ago, many, many years ago, that I came clean on stage at DE and said I was having a problem with alcohol. And I gave it up for many years after that. It was from a talk that Dean gave at DE. And then, you know, after many years of being clear of it, all of a sudden you think it's okay and you have a couple, you have one here and there. And what I realized was recently it had slipped back into my life unknowingly. And I didn't even realize it until I started reading this book that my wife just threw at me a week or two ago called Atomic Habits. And it started talking about the neuroscience and the neurological, you know, patterning and the way these bad habits start sneaking back into your life. I'm not going to plagiarize the book. Read the book. It's an awesome book. It's an easy, quick read. But I realized like little habits. Like I'm a guy that loves my gadgets, right? So one year my wife got me, the ice cube things for, when you want to drink an old fashioned with a big ice cube. And then I got a bourbon smoking kit. And then I got this and I got that. And then I started researching and I learned how to make the perfect old fashioned. And then I realized I was having at least one a day. And alcohol just kind of slipped back into my existence. And the habit formed without me even knowing it. Not that I was craving it or that I liked to drink or had to drink or wanted to drink, but I actually liked the entire procedure. I liked the toys that it came with and showing them off to my friends and having people over for a cocktail. It was ridiculous. So I realized after reading that book and also after talking, ever since I gave that talk years ago, people still come up to me who are having problems. So after talking to a person and talking to them, about their stuff, I realized I got my own stuff going on. And I think a lot of you could probably look at yourself in the mirror and realize that you've slipped. I'm not talking alcohol, but that you've slipped in certain ways, that there are habits that snuck back into your life, habits that you maybe broke in the past. Maybe it's an eating thing. Maybe it's a spending habit. Maybe it's a phone habit. Maybe you're addicted to your phone and you can't put the damn thing down. Maybe your body has just automatically associated with being awake and being on your phone, or being on the toilet and being on your phone, or being bored and being on your phone. And then what does that mean to you? Are you present with the people around you when you're on your phone? There's all these habits that could sneak back into your life and you don't even know they're happening. It's just there's a cue and you get a craving and then you take action on that craving. And then the next thing you know, your reward is the fact that you're doing the thing that you were craving. And all of a sudden your body just associates coming home with eating until you go to sleep. There's all sorts of different things. Like you can't even sit on your own couch in your living room without craving snacks the whole time. There's so many habits that sneak into your life that steal from your energy and they control you, right? And you don't even know what's happening. So you have to kind of analyze your life and figure out, are you clear? Like, are you living a clear and congruent life with what you're preaching to your patients or what you're preaching to your family or your friends? And like if you want to go in and try and find the problems in your practice, you got to look in the mirror and find the problems in you. So you have to start with you. Like, how many times have we told our patients, especially moms, you give them the whole the airline flight attendant speech, like, in case of an emergency, the oxygen mask will drop, put the oxygen mask on yourself first and then take care of your kids. And you tell all your moms that aren't taking care of themselves, listen, you take care of everybody else, let me take care of you and make sure you're clear so you can be healthy and take care of your kids, right? But are we following that exact same advice? Are we taking care of ourselves? Are we healthy? Are we getting checked? Are we getting checked and adjusted weekly? Or are we just preaching that other people should, right? Are we eating good foods, or are we pigging out on the bad stuff? Are we taking care of ourselves, or are we a walking heart attack waiting to happen, right? Your patients can see through the bullshit. If you're not congruent, your practice is not going to grow. Your practice, people don't want to follow around a heavy set personal trainer who also smokes. Like, they're just not going to take advice from that guy. They're not going to take advice from a chiropractor who doesn't get checked and adjusted, right? They're not going to listen to you if you don't believe and if you're not walking the walk and doing what you're supposed to be doing. So the first thing you need to do if you want to grow is grow yourself. Fix yourself first. And then if you've got habits that are stealing you away from your family, I remember there was this, John doesn't mind when we talk about it, but his vice, I think, was video games. He was literally robbing his family of time with him. Plus, he put on an enormous amount of extra weight from sitting around playing video games. It was stealing his energy and his power, and he's grown substantially since he decided to do something about that. So fix yourself first so you can take care of God's people, right? That's number one. You got to fix yourself. Read the book. Break some bad habits, establish some good habits. Like I said, I'm not going to teach you how to do that right now. But if you can't fix yourself, you can't fix relationships, you can't fix your home, you can't fix your kids, and you definitely can't fix your practice, right? So form good habits. And honestly, the habits that you form should give you the most precious of all commodities, right? I forget who said it. Maybe it was Steve Jobs, but he said there's only one thing that we all have in common. Every human being on the planet has the same amount of time, We have 24 hours in a day. We have to decide what we're doing with those 24 hours, right? What are we doing with those 24 hours? Are we using every minute of every day for good, right? That doesn't mean you have to be working every minute of every day. That means you can be home with your kids, but be present with your kids. Put the phone down and be present with your kids. Are you sitting at the dinner table and actually paying attention to how their day went? And are they actually interested in how your day went? All right. So if you establish good habits, meaning you don't have to think about what you're wearing, you don't have to think about when you're squeezing an exercise, you don't have to think about when you're coming to the office, going to the office to get checked and adjusted. Like nothing in your life should even require thought. It should really all just kind of be on autopilot. And if you establish these good habits, you have no idea how much time you free up to do more things that you enjoy doing or see more people. It's amazing if you can systematize and make good habits, not just for yourself, but in your office. Like how much time is wasted in your office with nonsense that you really shouldn't be doing. I know I think I talked somebody through this the other day, and I'm a math geek. I love spreadsheets and I love time management things. And I was talking to a doc who sees like 300-400 a week, and they wanted to see more, and they don't have a CA. And I've never been a person that likes to practice without help. I like to have help in the office. So I basically said, do the calculation with me, even if it takes you 30 seconds to walk over to your computer and bring up the next person on the computer, or 30 seconds to greet a person, or another 30 seconds to lay them down, or 30 seconds to help them up. Whatever it is, these 30 seconds here and there all add up to minutes. And if you're talking about minutes and you're seeing 100 people on a Monday and you spend an extra minute with some nonsense that you don't need to be spending that minute on, that's 100 minutes. And if you take 2.5 minutes to do an adjustment, then how many patients extra could you see if you saved 1 minute per person not doing some nonsensical duty that you shouldn't really be doing? And you guys can do the math, but basically it equals like 40 more patients a day. So if you form good habits and you actually teach your staff to form good habits so that things just run beautifully and smoothly throughout the day, it can save you an enormous amount of time, and then do what you want with that time, right? So I have a little list. I wrote this list down. Time is probably the most, like I said, it's the most precious entity. It's the only thing that we all have a limited supply of. There's unlimited money in the world. There's unlimited patience in the world. There's unlimited everything in the world. We do not have an unlimited amount of time. So you have to really look at where you're spending it. My only advice really is to just be present with the person you're with. That means when you walk up to a person, you connect with the person, you're present with the person, you adjust the person, you give them a positive reinforcement, and that person might feel like you spent 10-15 minutes with them, but you really spent 45 to 50 seconds with them because you were present and connected, right? And we've heard that because I remember a statistic or a study that was done in Dr. Schiffman's office where he had an exit poll, and they would ask people, how long did you spend with the doctor? And most people would say 10 minutes. And then they would actually time him, and he spent about 48 seconds with each person, but he was present with them for that 48 seconds. So they felt his energy for that, what seemed to them like 10 minutes. So then my next question is, when you're talking to your staff, are you present, or are you thinking about something else? When you're talking to your husband or wife, your spouse, are you present with them and you're actually listening to them and caring about what they're saying? Or are you on your phone, or are you thinking about the office? When your kids are telling you something, you're listening to them. Like, are you present? And I'm talking to myself right here because I'm one of the most distracted people that you'll ever meet, right? But I'm working on that. I'm trying to master that, right? Another habit that you can have, that you can form in the office, is really just, God, I don't even know how to say it, but you get to the point where you've said what you're going to say so many times, and the story never changes because we tell the truth 100% of the time. We tell the chiropractic story all the time. So when you're in the office and you're talking, the principle should just flow out of you. You shouldn't have to have a script. But if you don't have it and you don't own it, then start saying things that you hear other people say that resonate with you, and start telling people the truth. Maybe even get a couple of Dr. Sid's books, get Dr. Steve's book, right? And use some of that until it just flows out of you and it pours out of you, and you don't even know where it's coming from, but it's coming from all your teachers, right? It's coming from God, who gave it to them, who gave it to you. And basically the principle just flows out of you, so that you're not asking for referrals anymore. You're not asking people to bring their kids in anymore. People are asking you if they can, right? You're not asking if little Jimmy should get checked today. Little Jimmy wouldn't dream of coming in the office without jumping on the table, right? You take away all obstacles, and you literally, you just give and you love and you serve throughout the day, because you've mastered it, right? And when you have that, when you've attained that absolute mastery, and you own the principle, and it just comes out of you, then every conversation you have, no matter where you are, whether you're in the bank or whether you're in the sandwich shop or whether you're in your exam room, it's the same story all the time. You're not making any of it up. It just comes out. And people are dying for it, literally dying for it, right? So, I know I can get very wordy, and I'm like, what? I'm 26 minutes in already, so I'm gonna wrap soon. But you got to keep the thing that I kind of want to end with, and this is me talking to myself again, is to keep your life and your practice in balance, right? And that can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, because if you're running a practice and you're seeing a ton of people but you're collecting no money, then you're out of balance, right? There's no balance there. There's no balance in the universe. Dr. Sid never wanted us ever to be poor chiropractors. He wanted us to be wildly successful, awesome chiropractors. The most successful doctors in the world should be chiropractors. So balance might be learn how to run your business better, right? Give, love, serve out of your own abundance without expectation. That's the thought, and that's the mission, and that's how you have to be when you're with the person. But spend your time on Friday morning figuring out how to be in balance so that your practice is doing incredibly well, all right? I'm not going to go into that. But the balance could be you're chiropractic all the time, work, and your mind is on the practice all the time, and you're missing all your kids' stuff, and you lose your family because you're so damn ambitious that all you want to do and all you can think about is growing the practice. Well, wake up, because if you have kids and you've had them for a while, they grow up real freaking fast, and mine just did, like that. I got my youngest going into college. Another couple months, my wife and I will be empty nesters. And we'll be driving to see some college soccer games, because she blessed us with committing to a school that's 2.5 hours from home, getting a sweet scholarship, and we'll be able to go see her play. But God, the time goes fast, guys. And I've always tried to balance my life by being in the office half my week and being home half my week. And I've done a really good job keeping my family, keeping my wife, honoring that relationship, being a part of my kids' lives, making it to most of their stuff, right? You can't be so ambitious and so all in where you just you just lose all the other stuff that's so important, right? Because we say God, family, chiropractic. Well, you have to honor that. Like, you truly need to honor that, and you need to bring balance into your life. When you're in your practice, nothing exists in my life. When I'm in my practice, nothing exists but God and chiropractic. There's an emergency and my family needs me, I'm out. And then when I'm with my family, nothing exists but God and my family, right? But if you own and you've mastered the principle, then your family and chiropractic start to kind of meld together. I realized I couldn't do what I do without my family being a DE chiropractic family, right? Like, I could not go to DE and come back all jazzed up and excited and have all this stuff that I needed to work on, and then come home and try and share that with my family, who may or may not actually believe in what I believe in, or may not even believe what I'm telling them. And it was a huge, huge leap of faith that I took the first time I brought my wife and kids to DE, especially the DE that I brought them to, because I think it was the only time ever that Dr. Sigafus did 4 hours that day. He did 2 hours before lunch and 2 hours after lunch, and in his purple tracksuit and his long hair. And I had no idea if my Italian wife from Long Island was just going to leave me after that DE, or if she was just going to be all in. And thank God she loved that man more than probably anybody else. and she from that point forward was just all in. So I'm not plugging DE and trying to grow numbers here, but if you want to try and fix your life and your relationship, and if you want to work on some of the stuff that I just talked about, get your family to DE, get your wife, get your husband, get everybody who you live with, everybody who you love, and everybody who's in your life and in your space, get them all on the same page. And you have no idea how much easier it gets from that point on. So I think that might be about it. You know, you gotta that's it, man. I think I've done enough. I've said enough. You know, trust in God, have faith, let go of your fear, and let go of whatever you think you're trying to control that you don't need to control. And honestly, if this is speaking to even one person on this call, you got to get rid of whatever's controlling you. If you have something in your life that's controlling you, figure it out. And we're all here to help. Andy?
Three pages of notes, bro. That was awesome. Thank you. You know, I'm just kind of thinking, okay, how to wrap this up, put it together. You're right, man. You got if you're going to try to fix your problem, you got to fix me first, right? That's what you said is most people who speak at DE are usually speaking about the stuff that they're going through, right? So, and I loved what you said about being distracted with chiropractic. Just let chiropractic be your distraction. That way, like you said, everything you talk about is the principle. So you don't have to worry about scripts. You don't have to worry about thinking about what you said. You just say it, and you get distracted in it. And for me, the thing I wrote down is run the business, because I try so hard to be the give, love, serve, give, love, serve, give, love, serve. Stepping back and being the CEO, that's very helpful. So I appreciate you, brother. And you said God probably about 50 times in the 30 minutes you spoke. And when I first met you, you just didn't know if you believed in God.
No.
What a transition. What a growth. What a blessing.
It's been a trip.
Yeah. Man, I absolutely love and appreciate you. Thanks for doing this. And I know everybody who listened, if they aren't writing notes down, they're going to go in their mind and say, I need to watch that again, because there were some gold nuggets there, brother. Thank you so much.
Love you, brother. Love you. Appreciate you all.
Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Love and appreciate you all.